The hidden jewel. The cargo ship Silver Wind drifted through the outer rim of the galaxy, loaded with stolen minerals, rare beasts, and one strange passenger. She wore chains like the others. She kept her eyes down. To any normal being, she looked like just another slave. But she wasn't. Her name was Celia, and she was the only daughter of the Galactic Emperor. She had cut her long royal hair, dirtied her face, and wrapped herself in rags. No one knew her secret. Not even the slavers who had taken her. They thought they had captured a silent, weak girl from a ruined world. They didn't know she had chosen this disguise to escape her prison of gold. The ship's crew laughed loudly as they shoved the slaves into the dark storage bay. Celia didn't flinch. She had trained for years in secret, fighting, hiding, surviving. She was ready. She had to vanish from the Empire before her father could force her into marriage with a warlord she despised. But there was one problem. A human. He was standing near the edge of the room, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Unlike the others, he wasn't in chains. He worked for the ship as a mechanic and bodyguard. Name: Cole Brennan. Former soldier. Exiled from Earth after a war no one won. Quiet, cold, dangerous. He looked at her for a moment too long. Not with cruelty, but curiosity. Celia froze. Could he see through her act? Cole had seen many things in his life. Blood, betrayal, beauty. But there was something different about this girl. The way she moved. The way she held herself even while pretending to be weak. Something was off. He had fixed enough machines to know when something didn't fit. Celia looked away quickly and sat among the others. Her heart pounded. She couldn't afford to be discovered now. The bounty on her head was enough to buy a moon. If anyone found out who she was, she'd be dragged back to the palace, or worse, handed to her father's enemies. Later that night, as the ship crossed a quiet nebula, a warning light blinked on the bridge. Pirates. Fast. Armed. Hungry for cargo and slaves. The crew scrambled, shields up, engines ready. But the Silver Wind was too slow. The pirates boarded. Screams followed. Blasters roared. In the chaos, Celia slipped from her corner. She had to escape before she was taken again, this time by worse monsters. She ran through the metal halls, trying to stay hidden, but the fire and noise pushed her forward. Then, someone grabbed her arm. She turned, ready to fight. It was him, Cole. "Stay low," he said calmly. "You don't belong here." Celia's eyes widened. He knew. But how? Cole didn't wait for an answer. He pulled her down a side corridor, through a maintenance hatch, into the lower engine bay. Explosions shook the walls. The ship was dying. Why? "Are you helping me?" she asked finally, voice hoarse. He looked at her, serious. "Because you're not what you pretend to be. And I hate lies. But I hate cruelty more." Celia didn't know what to say. Before she could speak, a blast door slammed shut behind them. The pirates were close. Cole tossed her a small shock pistol. "You know how to use that?" She nodded slowly. He gave a faint smirk. "Didn't think you were just a slave." For the first time, Celia let a hint of her real self show. Fire returned to her eyes, and Cole saw it, the hidden jewel behind the dirt and chains. This girl wasn't just hiding. She was planning, and he had just joined her escape. Flames behind. The throne. The engine bay shook again as another blast hit the ship. Metal groaned. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Cole pulled Celia behind a support beam and raised his blaster. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hall. The pirates were searching, loud, careless, sure of their power. Celia's hands tightened on the small shock pistol. Her heart was racing, but her face remained calm. The training from the Royal Guards whispered in her memory. Breathe, wait, strike only when it counts. 2 pirates walked in. Cole didn't hesitate. He fired. One went down instantly. The other turned, but Celia stepped out and fired her pistol. It hit the pirate in the neck. He dropped like a rock. Cole stared at her. "That shot was too clean," he said quietly. She shrugged. Lucky guess. But Cole wasn't smiling. You're not a slave. Not even close. Celia looked down. I never said I was. A deep alarm began to ring through the ship. The pirates had reached the bridge. Soon they'd take full control. Then they'd scan all the slaves and sell them one by one. Celia had no time left. I need to reach the comms room, she said. Cole frowned. That's 3 decks up and full of pirates. I need to send a signal, not a rescue, just a warning. Warning who? She hesitated, then said the words he didn't expect. My father. The Emperor. Silence. Cole didn't move. You're joking, he said at last. Celia met his eyes. I wish I was. Cole cursed under his breath. You're the one from Virex Prime. The missing daughter, she nodded. I ran away. I didn't want to marry a monster, but if the pirates find me now, they'll sell me back to him. Or worse. Cole looked away for a moment, thinking hard. He'd escaped his past once. But now he was holding hands with someone whose name could start wars. He finally asked, Why trust me? Because you looked at me and didn't see a slave. Or a jewel. You saw a person. That was enough for him. Fine, he said. But if we do this, we do it my way. No mistakes. No mercy. Celia gave a sharp nod. Together they left the engine bay and moved through the broken halls. The ship was now a battlefield. Fire lit the walls. Screams echoed through the vents. The pirates had started executing crew members who resisted. They climbed up a maintenance ladder. Cole checked every turn. He knew how to move quiet, how to kill fast. Celia followed him, her royal pride gone, replaced by pure survival. Halfway up, a motion alarm triggered. A drone spotted them. Cole shot it. Too late. Sirens howled. Run, he shouted. They raced down a side hallway, but 3 pirates blocked the path. The leader, a tall creature with 4 eyes and golden teeth, pointed a rifle at Celia. Well, well, he growled. What do we have here? Celia raised her chin. Even now, even cornered, her voice was firm. I'm worth more than your ship, the pirate laughed. Then I'll take your body to the highest bidder. Cole moved first, fast. He slammed into the nearest pirate, snapping his arm and throwing him into the wall. Celia ducked and kicked the second one in the knee. Her pistol fired, another down. But the leader raised his rifle. Cole grabbed a loose cable and threw it. It hit the pirate's arm. The rifle went off. Missed. Celia leaped forward and fired the last shot. The leader dropped. Breathing heavy, they stood in the silence that followed. Celia looked at Cole. You still want to help me? He gave her a dry smile. I think I already did. She smiled back. For the first time, real and warm. They weren't safe yet. Not by far. But now they were a team. And behind her calm eyes, behind the dirt and fire, Cole saw something even more dangerous than a princess. He saw a future queen. The blood signal. The corridor behind them was littered with bodies. Smoke rose from broken vents. Cole wiped blood from his face and looked at the blinking red light on the wall. The pirates now knew exactly where they were. They'll send a full squad next time, he said, voice sharp. Celia nodded. Her chest was still rising fast, but her eyes were cold. Then we moved faster. They turned into a dark hallway. Narrow, leaking gas, half lit by flickering bulbs. Cole led the way, gun ready. Celia followed close behind, gripping the shock, pistol with steady fingers. The comms room wasn't far, but they weren't the only ones racing toward it. 10 minutes earlier, on the pirate ship locked to the hull, the raider commander stared at a screen. He was a tall reptilian brute named Grask, covered in battle scars. His yellow eyes narrowed as he zoomed in on the security feed. It showed Cole and Celia fighting off his men. She's not a slave, he growled. That's royal form. That's training. He tapped a command. A face scanner zoomed in on Celia's blurry image. Then it beeped red. Match found, Grask hissed. Emperor's daughter, jackpot, he grinned. Lock the comms. I want her alive and bleeding. Back on the Silver Wind, Cole and Celia reached the outer comms deck. The door was jammed. Cole slammed a fist against the control pad. It's locked from the bridge. Celia stepped forward and opened a side panel. Her fingers moved fast. Code, circuits, bypass wires. It all came back to her. Even princesses learned how to override systems in case of palace attacks. The door slid open with a soft whoosh. Cole looked impressed. Remind me never to play cards with you. They entered. The comms deck was empty. Screens showed galaxy maps, signal beacons, and alerts from nearby systems. Cole checked the hallway. Clear, for now. Celia sat down at the main console. I can send a coded message to the Emperor's Black Guard. They'll know it's from me. Cole didn't speak for a moment. You're sure about this? He asked. She looked up. What do you mean? If you send that signal, your freedom is gone. He'll come, and he won't let you disappear again. Celia's hands trembled. I'm not calling him to save me, she whispered. I'm warning him. The pirates didn't just want the ship. They knew I was here. Someone betrayed me. Cole stiffened. Someone from inside the palace? Or the council? She typed the emergency code. A screen blinked. Voice required, it read. She took a breath and spoke clearly. This is Celia, blood of the Emperor, voice of Virex Prime. To any Blackguard receiver, I am alive. Do not search. Do not trace. But listen, there is a traitor in the court. She paused. Burn this message into your minds. I will not return until I find who sold me. She pressed send. The room went dark for a second. Then the signal blinked, across the stars. Cole looked at her with a strange mix of respect and concern. You didn't ask for help. She smiled faintly. I don't need saving. I need truth. Suddenly, boom! The wall beside them exploded. Cole tackled her to the floor just as debris flew through the air. Pirates stormed in, 3, 4, 5. Grask entered last, holding a blade that pulsed with plasma fire. He pointed it at Celia. You could have lived rich, girl. I would have sold you to the highest throne. Cole stood and raised his blaster. You'll regret that mistake. But before anyone moved, Grask threw something, a small orb. It hit the floor, and everything went black. Gas. Cole coughed, eyes burning. Celia's vision blurred. Then she felt cold hands grab her. She screamed once, then everything faded. Somewhere far below the ship in a sealed cargo cell, she woke. Alone. In chains again. But this time she wasn't pretending. She was really a prisoner now, and the only one who could find her was a human, the human's hunt. The sound of a heavy metal door slamming shut echoed through the empty hallway. Cole was awake now, coughing, wounded, and furious. He sat up in the comms room, what was left of it. Smoke drifted through the shattered ceiling. Sparks jumped from dead screens. His head pounded, but his instincts were clear. They had taken her, and they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. Down in the lowest level of the ship, Celia sat against a wall, hands bound by glowing cuffs. Her face was bruised, but her eyes burned with anger. She had come so far. She had hidden her identity, escaped her world, and found the truth, only to end up captured again. But this time it wasn't fear that filled her. It was fury. She stared at the camera in the corner of the cell. You want a prize? She whispered. You'll pay for it in blood. Back on deck 6, Cole grabbed a blaster and reloaded fast. He moved through the wrecked ship step by step, checking every shadow. The bodies of fallen pirates littered the corridors, his work from earlier battles. His face was blank, focused, deadly. He tapped into a hidden panel, hacked the system, and found the last known location of Celia's tracker. Deck 9, cargo hold 7. Smart, he muttered. Put her where no one goes. He took a deep breath and started moving. The ship was crawling with pirates now, but that didn't stop him. He took down the first one silently, knife to the throat. The seconds saw him. Too late. Cole's blaster hit the alien between the eyes. He didn't stop. Every step was for her. He didn't know why it mattered so much. She was royalty. She had lied to him. But something inside him refused to leave her behind. Maybe it was her fire. Maybe it was how she'd looked at him like an equal. Or maybe he was tired of watching good people fall. In the dark cargo hold, Grask leaned close to Celia. You should have stayed hidden, girl. Now you'll be sold. Maybe to your enemies. Maybe to someone worse. Celia didn't blink. You'll die before I leave this ship. Grask laughed and stood. That's not your choice. Suddenly, the door behind him exploded inward. Smoke filled the room. Cole walked through it like a ghost. His blaster was aimed steady. Step away from her, he growled. Grask snarled. You again. He drew his plasma blade and his men stepped forward. 4 of them. Cole didn't wait. He fired fast. 1, 2, 3. Celia threw herself sideways as a shot passed close. Grask charged at Cole, blade swinging. The two crashed into each other, slamming against the walls. Celia struggled to her knees, kicked one guard in the leg, and grabbed his dropped weapon with her cuffed hands. She turned and fired behind her, saving Cole from a sneak attack. Cole rolled away and struck Grask in the face with the butt of his blaster. You think you're a hero? Grask shouted. No, Cole said. I'm worse. One final shot. Direct. Brutal. Grask fell dead. The room went quiet. Cole dropped to one knee beside Celia. Can you move? She smiled, breathing hard. Untie me and find out. He laughed once, cut her cuffs, and helped her up. Together they stepped out of the blood-soaked cargo hold. They weren't just escaping anymore. They were going to take the ship. On the bridge, the remaining pirates watched the feat in horror. He's just one man, one shouted. No, another whispered. He's human. The rise of the two. The hallway lights flickered above them as Celia and Cole moved side by side, weapons drawn. Blood stained Cole's shirt. Soot marked Celia's face. But their eyes, sharp, clear, focused, looked like they belonged to soldiers, not survivors. And that's what they were now. No longer running, no longer hiding. Now they were going to take back the ship. Deck by deck, they moved forward. Cole knew the ship's weak points. He had repaired its engines, rewired its power grids, and now he was turning those systems into weapons. Celia carried a stolen plasma rifle, its charge humming softly. She had never liked guns. But right now, her royal teachings didn't matter. If she wanted freedom, she had to fight for it. They reached the engineering room. Cole typed fast into the console. If I override the ship's gravity fields, we'll throw the pirates off balance. Might even knock them unconscious. Celia raised an eyebrow. And us? He smirked. Hope you're good at holding on. He hit the button. A deep boom vibrated. Through the hull. Gravity shifted. Sirens wailed. Pirates screamed. Down in the lower levels, alien bodies slammed into walls and ceilings. Weapons dropped from claws and hands. Some passed out. Others broke bones. Cole and Celia held tight to the control panel, riding the chaos like warriors in a storm. Let's move, Cole shouted. They raced to the bridge. Only a few pirates stood, between them and full control. But these weren't the weak ones. These were Grask's elite, armored, armed, angry. The final fight began. Blaster fire filled the corridor. Sparks exploded from the walls. Celia rolled behind a crate and fired, hitting one in the leg. Cole charged, sliding across the floor and knocking 2 down with perfect aim. But then a shot hit him, right shoulder. He growled in pain and fell back. Celia screamed. Cole! He waved her off. I'm fine. Keep going. But she didn't. Listen. She ran straight into the fire zone, dodging blasts like lightning. She slid beside him, dropped her rifle, and grabbed a knife from his belt. Before Cole could stop her, she charged forward. The pirates didn't expect it. Royal blood was supposed to be weak, soft, protected, but Celia moved like fire. She stabbed. The closest one in the chest, spun, kicked the next in the face, then ducked as a third fired. The blast missed her by inches, but that was all she needed. She raised her hand. Cole had tossed her his backup pistol, one shot, right between the eyes. The bridge fell silent. Celia stood in the middle, breathing heavy. Victorious, Cole walked up, holding his bleeding arm. "Remind me never to argue with you." She gave him a tired smile. "Now we finish this." They sealed the bridge doors and shut down pirate access. Cole moved to the captain's chair and synced the controls. The ship's ours. Celia sat beside him. "For now." Cole looked at her, curious. "You sent the warning, right? To your father?" "Yes," she said, "but not the location." Cole nodded slowly. "So, what now?" Celia stared at the stars outside the window. "Now we disappear." He blinked. "Disappear?" She turned to him. "The galaxy believes I'm dead or captured. That gives us time. I need to know who in the Empire betrayed me. Someone powerful. Wanted me gone." Cole studied her expression. She wasn't running anymore. She was planning war. "You'll need help," he said. She looked at him. "You in?" He leaned back. "I didn't almost die to walk away now." They shared a long look. Two souls with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Far away in the Emperor's court, a shadowed figure received the message. "She's alive." The figure crushed the glass in his hand. "She'll regret sending that signal." The shadows of the Empire. Far beyond the rim in the golden halls of Virex Prime, the Emperor stood still. His eyes were locked on the message glowing in the air before him, a signal from his lost daughter. Alive, hidden, defiant. Behind him, a room full of generals and nobles remained silent. None dared speak, not after the words they had just heard. Celia wasn't only alive. She knew there was a traitor, and she had sent a warning. The Emperor's voice broke the silence like thunder. "Find her, and find the one who betrayed her." But in the shadows of that room, one man stepped back quietly, his eyes cold, his face still. High Counselor Varen, the one who had arranged her forced marriage, the one who had leaked her escape plan, and now the one whose secret was at risk. Back on the Silver Wind, Cole tightened the bandage on his arm. The bleeding had stopped, but the pain remained sharp. Still, he didn't complain. Pain was familiar. It meant he was still alive. Across from him, Celia studied the ship's data logs. "Here," she said. "Grask wasn't working alone. He got direct payment from a private account, Empire-locked, high access. No pirate should have that." Cole glanced at the screen. "And you think it's from the Council?" Celia nodded. "One of them betrayed me. Varen is the only one who stood to gain from my disappearance. If he marries me to the warlord, he gains military power and full command over the outer colonies." Cole frowned. "And your father doesn't know?" She shook her head. "He trusts Varen too much, but I don't." She stood and walked to the window, staring at the stars. "I was born into a golden cage," she said softly, "but that cage is full of snakes." Cole leaned against the wall. "And you want to start pulling them out one by one?" She turned, her eyes sharp. "Yes." They docked the Silver Wind at an old mining station in deep space, a forgotten rock where outlaws and broken machines gathered dust. Cole knew a contact there. An old hacker named Maddox who owed him favors. Maddox looked human, but his eyes were mechanical implants, always glowing. "You two stirred up a storm," he said as he sat across from them. "Word spreading, someone wiped out Grask and took his ship. We need access to the Imperial Council's encrypted records," Celia said directly. Maddox whistled. "Dangerous request." "You owe me," Cole said flatly. Maddox sighed and nodded. "Fine. Give me one day." That night, Celia sat outside the docking bay, staring at the broken stars. Cole joined her in silence. "You don't trust him," she said. Cole shook his head. "No, but I trust you." She looked at him, surprised. "Why?" He thought for a moment. Because you fight like someone who's lost everything but won't give up. That's rare. Celia smiled slightly. You're not what I expected from a human. Cole chuckled. Most people say that after I save them. They sat there, quiet but connected, not as princess and protector, but as two warriors in the dark. Next morning, Maddox handed her a device. This has the proof, the money trail, the orders. Varen signed everything with his secret code ring. You expose this and the Emperor will tear him apart. Celia held the device tightly. Cole asked, So what now? Celia answered without pause. We go back. Cole blinked. To Virex Prime? You'll be walking into a den of wolves. She met his eyes. Not as a girl in chains this time. Not as a runaway. He understood. She was returning as a flame, ready to burn down lies. Far away, Counselor Varen stood in a dark chamber, speaking to a pale assassin. Kill her before she reaches the throne, he hissed. And what of the human? Varen sneered. Break him. The princess and the human. The royal palace of Virex Prime shimmered beneath three suns. Tall towers of gold rose into the sky. Soldiers in black armor guarded every gate. Inside, the court waited in silence, unaware that a storm was about to arrive. That storm had a name, Celia, and she wasn't coming alone. A sleek ship landed just outside the capital walls, unauthorized, unmarked. Alarms blared across the palace network. Guards rushed in from all directions, but by the time they reached the landing pad, it was already too late. Cole stood calmly at the ramp, gun drawn. Celia walked beside him, royal mark glowing on her palm. I am Celia of the Bloodline, daughter of the Emperor, betrayed by your counsel. I return not to kneel in, but to speak. The guards froze. They scanned her hand. The mark was real. They stepped aside. Inside the great hall, the Emperor rose from his throne as Celia entered. Gasps echoed across the room. Nobles dropped to one knee. Some wept. Others watched in shock. Varen, standing near the throne, took one step back. Too late. Celia walked straight toward him and threw the data drive onto the floor. A hologram burst into the air. His signature, his deals, his betrayal. The room erupted in noise. The Emperor's eyes burned. You sold my daughter? He thundered. Varen's face twisted. She was a threat to our power. Silence. The Emperor turned to the guards. Take him. Varen tried to run. Cole stepped forward and raised his gun, one precise shot to the leg. Varen fell screaming. The guards dragged him away. The court was still, and then slowly, they began to bow. Her Celia stood tall, strong, alive. The girl who had run away in rags now returned with fire. Later, in the private gardens of the palace, the Emperor sat with his daughter. He looked older now. Tired. Regret in his voice. You shouldn't have needed to run. I should have protected you from men like him. Celia placed her hand over his. I had to run so I could return stronger. He nodded slowly. And the human? He saved me, she said quietly. But more than that, he saw me. Not as a princess, as a person. The Emperor looked toward the far wall where Cole stood, quiet and watchful. You trust him? With my life. That night, fireworks lit up the skies of Virex Prime. The people celebrated the return of the lost princess. Celia stood on the balcony, dressed not in a gown, but in armor. Beside her stood Cole, wearing a formal black coat. A crowd chanted her name below, but she turned to Cole. I won't stay here, she said. He looked at her confused. You're not? I will expose the others who helped Varen, across the Empire, in every system. The corruption runs deep. Cole smiled. That sounds dangerous. Celia stepped closer. That's why I'm asking if you'll come with me. His answer was simple. Always. Somewhere deep in the stars, another ship watched the celebration on its screen. A hooded figure whispered, "So, the fire lives," and disappeared into the dark.